What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? So I just completed my first tier list for January 1st, 2020. Um, Man, I had so much fun doing this. It's hopefully gonna open your mind up a little bit to maybe some new champions that we haven't considered. Some of these champs are old champs that just got revamped. So there's a little bit of things that make you go and basically I have split this up into 5 categories: G status, killer, amazing, backup, and nope. Starting from G status, these are the champions that you want, I want the most, that you should want the most, that I want the most, or either have and enjoy the most. And then it goes in descending, descending order from there. Yeah. So we're gonna start it off real quick with G status. So I determined the value of each champion kind of based on my experience with the champ, number one. Number two, the value I see across the community, because I'm at a different spot maybe than the next guy in my alliance, than the person tuning into a live stream. We're all kind of at varying different parts of progression. I'm working on Act 6. Maybe you're working on Variant 4 or Variant 1, Act 4, Act 3. Maybe you're struggling to get through the monthly event quest and master difficulty, or even heroic difficulty, or epic is what you're working on every month. So everybody's is in a little bit of a different place. So this is a sort of collective what I think about these champions, how much I value these champions. Please don't take this as an absolute. This is the way it is. This is the way. Because it's not necessarily having to be that way. This is just my opinion. So anyways, we'll start off the best of the best. These are the champions that you pull and you're super excited about. And I have them marked. Each champion is marked, whether it is absolutely needing awakening, or if they need a synergy, or if they need to have a high sig ability. And I'm going to be honest with you, I tend to rate champions that need high sig ability a lot lower than maybe others do. How often do you see people walking, having stashed 200 sig stones? It's kind of rare. Or if they're a 4-star, how often do you have 99 sig stones stashed in your inventory? So I take that kind of stuff into consideration, just as a heads up. But even though on my G status, I still have someone who really benefits from a SIG 200 or SIG 99. So anyway, here we go. Let's just break it down really quick. I'm going to do, I'll probably explain a little bit more of maybe someone who's my favorite. And the reason why I start off by saying that is because the first champion on the list is Colossus. Man, I think Colossus is an amazing champion. He's a little bit like a Captain America. He has the same sort of not rank up, but ramp up potential and damage. And he has immunities from bleed, cold snap, frostbite, incinerate. And I think he's a good havoc counter. He has a lot of armor ups. He's good for the buffed up nodes. I mean, he's become a champion that has a lot of value ever since his revision a couple months ago. So yeah, I am a huge fan of Colossus. And when you add some synergies onto him, he can become a crazy power gain person. I think it's Emma Frost. I think that's the synergy. It's either Emma Frost, Juggernaut, or Omega Red. One of those synergies allows him to have plus 1% attack, and then another one of those synergies allow plus one. I think it's plus 1% power gain per armor up. And if you have a max stack of armor up, man, you're doing crazy damage, and you're gaining power like crazy. So he is insanely valuable. I really rate him quite highly. I took him to rank 5, and I don't regret that at all. Next up is Sunspot. Same thing. He's a little bit like a blade, where you can ramp up his damage really quick in a single fight, and then kind of control what you want to do. Do you want to go and rely on parry and kind of charge your heavy attack and really gain a lot of power, or do you need to just try to get the opponent down? It's a limber node. You can still incinerate them and then rely on perfect block to try to take some block specials. I mean, he has a lot of value, I think, right now going into 2020 for sure. Domino is an amazing champ. She does a lot of damage. She has ability accuracy reduction. I mean, she is a bleed queen. I mean, she is an absolute monster. Havoc, he has amazing special 2 and special 3 damage. He gains power gradually over time. He's an amazing champ for that. He's also really good for any type of thorns nodes or anything where you take damage or you get punished for any sort of contact hits. Havoc has a good workaround around that. He is also another good counter to Havocs. We see a lot of Havocs in Alliance Wars these days, and then in tougher content, you see buffed up Havocs galore. So he is a very good chance. And then Namor, he's a champ that really sort of relies on being awakened and having Sig 200 or Sig 99 being totally maxed out to be able to take advantage of his mechanic where he takes all the, how should I say, sort of unfair damage and then reflects it back onto the defender. That makes him amazing. His damage is out of this world. It's really good. He has regen. Yeah, he's one of he's one of the best fishy boys out there. Thing, man, Thing's damage is crazy. When you have the Fantastic Four synergy with him, he becomes almost a cheesy champion. Probably one of the best in the game. I would really value him quite a bit because he has shock. I know that sounds a little crazy, but he's one of the few champions, as well as another one on the G status list, that has a shock immunity that I find now is going to become more and more valuable as time goes on and the game progresses. Cap America Infinity War, although he doesn't need to be awakened because his block proficiency is through the roof and his damage, especially from a special 2, is totally amazing. You can get up to 100k depending on how if you have 565 cap. He does really benefit from being Sig 200 or Sig 99 and duped because that allows him to really get. I think you can shrug off debuffs with skill. You can apply debuffs with different things like tech and science. You gain more of your kinetic charges with other class types. I think it's Mystic and Mutant. And then you get an armor break from Cosmic. So he really is just some of the craziest champ out there. I've gotten through so much content personally with Captain America Infinity War, and I definitely consider him one of the best in the game. Should be happy, even if he's unduped. Next up, Quake. If you were an amazing Quake player, man, good for you, because she can get through a lot of stuff. She can cut through the line, no problem. Just from not having to attack into anybody and being able to avoid being hit, just that charging that attack is such a crazy mechanic. It's almost a cheat. It's like stepping out of the race, hopping in a taxi, and going to the end of the finish line. But it requires a lot of skill and a lot of practice. So, yeah, good on you if you can do it. Scarlet Witch, even though she's not available as a 5-star, I know why. Because as a 4-star, you can get her to just ramp up damage like you wouldn't believe. Her nullify abilities are almost second to none. And then, of course, she has a pretty insane regen. She can still get you through a ton of content. She does sort of require having maxed out signature ability, so Sig 99. But if you pull this champ and then you have an Awakening Gem, I would totally put it into her, and then every signature stone you get, it's not wasted on Scarlet Witch. In 2020, she's still an amazing champion for progressing players, and I think she's still one of the best in the game. I know why they're not going to bring her to a 5-star. I think she'd be way OP. I think she'd be the answer to almost everything for people. And then Dr. Doom, man, he's got utility through the roof. His damage is okay. It's pretty bursty. If he's a very new champ, his prestige is really good. If you pull him, man, you are very lucky. Captain Marvel movies, she's really good without a dupe, but her duped ability adds an indestructible charge when she launches into binary, which can add a ton of utility. Sort of timing that when you think you might take a lot of damage, or just being able to avoid a lot of damage. She can cut through stuff like crazy. I know that she also synergizes very well with Nick Fury, who happens to be on my G status list. But yeah, no, she's an amazing champ. That binary charge allowing her to do a lot more damage and only taking a little bit to ramp that up and be able to let that go. yeah, I think she'd be a good solution for a lot of newcomers to get through some tougher content with larger health pools. Her main thing is attack, and yeah, no, she's good. And then Hyperion, man, Hyperion is one of my favorites in the game. Early on, when he was first released, I happened to pull him kind of right around release, and I used him forever. Man, his ability to just gain power, and throw off specials is absolutely second to none. It's amazing. His damage ramp up when you parry or bait out heavies. You just spam your heavies, you gain furies, and then have crazy damage output. Plus a little bit of regen makes him one of the best champs in the game. And I think the power gain really allows you to play around with certain nodes. He has armor break on special 2, incinerate on special 1, multiple hits on special 1. There's a lot of reasons to like Hyperion. I think he's probably also one of the top champs in the game. We might come up with another list, just like five champs that will get you through most stuff. Corvus Glaive, man, if you are in the community, you know that people love Corvus Glaive. He has amazing damage output. He has his Waken ability gives him sort of the ability to cheat death. You start off the fight with 20 charges. Every time you hit the opponent with a Glaive charge, it's a guaranteed critical hit, but it removes one of your charges. He's essentially immune to bleed and cold snap until you run out of charges. He's also immune to death until you run out of charges. So any damage over time effect, man, he can kind of cheese. So as long as you have one charge and you have, let's say you have a bleed, you have a cold snap, you're not going to die. You have degen on you, nothing's going to happen. You have one health point, but one Glaive charge, you're good. So Glaive is he's a little bit of a cheesy champion. It takes a little bit to ramp up. You have to have multiple fights to get his full damage potential within a lane. So if it's Alliance Quest or Alliance War, be looking to fight an Avenger, a Tech, a Mutant, and then an Evade champ. But you have to knock the Evade champ down while they're still up in the fight in order to get that charge. And then Blade, man, Blade's another like Corvus where he should be awakened, but he doesn't require it. Blade's awakened ability allows him to have essentially infinite regen, which is so incredibly powerful, especially when you're doing long questing content, Act 4, Act 5. It basically, his regen is based off his stored power. As you fight, you gain power, and then you dash back and hold block, and you'll use that power up, and in exchange, you'll get regeneration. And I find that very, very powerful, along with his danger sense, which is originally without synergies against dimensional beings. But if you have the full trinity, you have Stark Spidey and Ghost Rider. I mean, his abilities go 45% more potent, and he's unstoppable, man. He's a pretty amazing champ. If they're a villain, if they're a mystic champ, if they're a dimensional being, they're in trouble, man. And even if they are bleed immune, his damage is still so incredible, and his regen is still makes him very survivable. I rate Blade still one of the top champs in the game. I can get through a lot of stuff. Alliance War, super endgame content. He's really good. Nick Fury, some would say he's better than Blade. But yeah, no, Nick Fury is an amazing champ. He does a lot of damage, has a lot of utility, can bypass a lot of things. When he's duped, he has the ability to have a second life. So once you die the first time, you kind of come back sort of and are dealt with a poison debuff, and it removes your health all the way down to 30%, but it bumps your attack up like crazy. So if you can survive that, then you're doing probably pretty good. He has crazy attack, crazy bleed, probably the strongest bleed in the game. So if it can be bled, Nick Fury is probably your option. And even if you're fighting a bleed immune champ with Nick Fury, man, his attack is still really amazing. So he's one of the best in the game. Sentinel, double immunities champ. He has the ability to heal block, shock, and armor break, incinerate, and then gain a pretty strong armor up on the special 3. And then if you use a special 3 again, he can regen. I find this guy to be super helpful. I use him in AQ, AW. I use him in Act 6. I used him in Variant 3. He was amazing. I find this guy to be a little underrated, or a lot underrated. I think he's one of the best champs in the game. Up until Warlock came out, I would probably say he was the best robot in the game, no question, and almost one of the best techs in the game. But we'll get there. Stark Spidey, one of the Trinity. He is still a crazy damage output champ. His auto evade is very valuable. I find that really valuable in harder content because it allows me to not get punished so much when I make a mistake. And when I am using him, I don't rely on auto evade, but man, I'm always super happy that it's there. He's one of the champions that's kind of a unique to him ability. So I value him, higher than maybe Vision or somebody who has shared abilities, but they're really good at that one. That auto evade is really kind of clutch for him. Warlock, man, Warlock. If you get him, congratulations. You're able to have an answer to most stuff in the game. He's able to bypass a lot of kind of tricky things, tricky nodes. His damage output is okay. He's got a little bit of power control ability. Yeah, he's really good. And then finally in the G status we have Ghost, who just requires a whole nother playstyle on her own. I was really she might be the best in the game. I think a lot of people say she's best in the game. I almost didn't put her on this list. I almost put her on amazing or even backup. I don't know where to put her. I just I think she has such a unique play style that it is really sort of a really exciting champion to get. But then once you start to try to use her, unless you're an MCOC genius, some people I think really struggle trying to get Ghost down. Plus, she becomes really sort of a lot easier to use when you have her synergies. When you have Ant-Man and Wasp on the team, or even Hood, she becomes a lot easier to use, and I am not a fan of either Ant-Man or Wasp or Hood. Matter of fact, all three of those champs are in, except for Wasp. Wasp was in backup, but the other two champs are in Nope. So I think that's kind of damaging towards her. Just on her own, she is very difficult to use, so be warned. I think she's harder to use, at least for me, than Quake, and that's it. So, yeah, the rest of my list, killer. I will just say that a lot of these champions came really close to being also the top champs. But in my eyes, we'll run through it real quick. In my eyes, they have a little bit of a downfall, and I'll just point that out. So Iceman, I absolutely love. I think he's an amazing champ, but his damage output isn't quite there anymore. In the health pools we're seeing, it's you kind of need to have a bigger damage output to be in the G status spot. Archangel, if it's immune to bleed or poison, he really is kind of a wet noodle. Omega Red, he kind of relies on suicide friendly masteries or suicide masteries. Suicide masteries are very expensive to get, and I'd like this tier list to be for everybody. And if you're just starting out, suicides are so far removed from you. So I bumped him down. He's an amazing champ. He's an amazing champ without suicides, but I kind of took him away for that. Human Torch is an amazing champ. He does a lot of damage. But I don't know. I still think he's not as good as Thing, Cap, or Quake. Void is really good. His damage is lacking though. Gulk, same thing. Gladiator Hulk. I'm going to change that. But Gladiator Hulk is just lacking damage output. Dormammu is a great champion. He has a lot of utility, but he's lacking damage output. Dr. Voodoo is an amazing champ. I still use him quite often. But it would be just fantastic if his poisons were a little bit stronger and he had a little bit better damage output. Black Widow Clairvoyant, same thing. She's really suicide friendly and kind of needs suicides for the masteries. And so I bumped her down for that. Ghost Rider, I may even move into G status. I love Ghost Rider. I just wish his damage was better, but I bring him in every war. I bring him with Blade, and he has a ton of utility. We're going to do a video on that later. Medusa is amazing. She is also really good on defense. I used to rate that a little bit higher. I just find that her utility has sort of gone away over the years. Venom is an amazing buff. When they reworked Venom, man, they added a lot to him. He used to be an absolute dud, and now he's a monster. Aegon. Aegon might be the best champ in the game, but you need to have a 1,000 hit combo. I still use him for every Alliance quest. I think he's an amazing champ. I don't want to take anything away from him. But once you get to 100 hits, he's probably good. It's just that from 0 to 100, I think that hurts him in my mind. The two visions, man, the two visions are absolutely amazing. The thing that does it for me, that bumps them away from the top tier, is their damage again. Vision Age of Ultron I actually much prefer than the original Vision. Darkhawk again, damage. I kind of not a huge fan of his damage output. Star-Lord, it's the ramp up in the combo. Now you have the ability with synergies to have a combo shield with Star-Lord through Aegon and I believe Proxima, but he doesn't have a whole lot of utility anymore. He's lost a lot of value, but he still does amazing damage. So I rate him pretty high. Same thing with Guillotine. She's another ramp-up champion. Ramp-up champions are excellent, but that is more of a discussion we can flesh out when we're talking about Realm of Legends and Labyrinth of Legends. And so that's it. If I were to pull anything from categories 1 through 4, I'd be happy. They all have a use. I'm going to do a video when I talk about the uses from category 4 because I find that to need a little bit more justification why I think they are where they are. And then the nope status, I'm sorry, we all go through it. In total, I'd be excited to pull about 73 champions, and 88 of the champions I might take my phone and put it in the freezer for 6 months and then take it out and smash it with the giant, most cartoonish mallet you've ever seen and then literally throw it off the ship and then drop a warhead on top of it. Yeah, no, we've all had those ragey moments. Well, maybe it's just me. Is it me? Did I? Well, maybe just me. But yeah, don't feel too bad. We pull bad champions and collectively in the community, happens. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. If you liked the video, please click like, please subscribe, and comment down below what you think. I'm super interested to hear what you guys have to think. I'm going to be scrolling through that comment section and answering your guys' questions. And catch me in the live streams. All right, guys. Take it easy.